Yeah, this was a massive thing yesterday. I can't believe it. I mean, I said it in my live stream last night. If you'd have told me yesterday morning that I'd be going to bed and knowing that Chelsea were trying to sign Danny Welbeck and Jordan Henderson, I would have laughed at you. But that is the case. That's what they're trying to do. I think it's really interesting, like so interesting that Chelsea have suddenly done this. It's so against everything we've come to expect from Chelsea and the transfer model and how they operate, and just screams to me that they're actually listening to someone who actually knows what he's talking about in Xabi Alonso. So that is a little bit worrying, I think, because I think Chelsea have got the nucleus of a very good squad. They've just not really had anyone sensible at the top of it who can really put things into action. I think in Alonso, they've got a very smart appointment and a very good appointment. I thought the pursuit of Xhaka, although ultimately it was unsuccessful, again, at the time, I was like, that's very sensible. You could see why that would be a good thing for Chelsea. And I can see, certainly in Welbeck's case, who I think is still a class act and a top quality footballer if he stays fit, I can see that being a really, really smart move for them. I think Henderson as well, certainly behind the scenes, will be a very good move for him. If he's on the pitch, he'll be all right. But it just makes sense. It's not going to be expensive. And again, from a sort of wider point of view, from an Arsenal point of view, I just think Chelsea are going to be up there next season. I really do, with Alonso in charge. No European football. I can see them causing problems. I'm not saying they're going to go and win the league or anything like that. But they're certainly going to improve, and they're going to have the tools and the capability to have a strong Premier League season next season. I think Chelsea, especially with that lack of European football, which, although no one wants to be without European football, is impossible not to say that it is a bonus for the Premier League season, just being able to play week in, week out without having...
You're looking for two really experienced names and top characters as well, which is kind of the mantra of this window for Chelsea. Find footballers that fit, but also the right leaders and personalities, and they're working on a deal for Danny Welbeck. I think we might see movement on this in the next 24 to 48 hours, because Brighton will not unduly stand in Welbeck's way, and the player's open to a move. And then Chelsea are also exploring a deal for Jordan Henderson, who still is contracted at Brentford, but my understanding is Brentford are prepared to let Henderson leave on a free transfer, kind of settling with him and allowing him one more big opportunity. And Chelsea seemingly at the moment are leading that race as well, even though there's some competition from within England and outside as well. So suddenly that average age of the Chelsea squad might be creeping up through a combination of both Welbeck and Henderson, two excellent signings. And I think the whole point here is they brought in Dave Fallows, ex-Liverpool, as one of now 5 sporting directors. And Fallows will, of course, know Henderson, but his big thing is about scouting and looking at the impact of that footballer off the field as well, to make sure that you get the right team spirit and chemistry. And these kind of signings might well be the missing pieces. And don't forget, it's no huge surprise, because at the beginning of the window, Chelsea tried for Granit Xhaka as well. So obviously there's been a slight switch here towards an older kind of player, and both of these deals could develop very quickly.
Do you know if it's, and you might not know this, but is Henderson, is he admired in terms of his ability? Because I understand that the strategy here might be, look, we need to raise the average age, as you've said there, and you can tell that just by who they're being linked with now. But Xhaka, for example, I feel like could do more of a job than somebody like Henderson. So is it, I get the age part, is it his profile as well as a player that they'd be looking at there, Ben?
Some of it's opportunism, because Xhaka was not seen as being a particularly expensive player, but in the end it was Sunderland that didn't want to sell. And then you have a situation now with Henderson where he's available on a free. You wouldn't have thought that Danny Welbeck is going to be crazy money because of his contractual situation as well, although Brighton are obviously going to be no pushover. Chelsea know that firsthand from doing several deals. But this, for me, is about almost finding mentors and squad players and people that have been there and done that can come into this Chelsea squad. So if Chelsea keep Emega, he could be loaned, but he's not going to be permanently sold. Then Welbeck can be that mentor in the centre of the park. You've got young midfielders like Dario Asugo. Okay, Enzo Fernandez is a role model in many ways because he's the same age as some of these other players, and he's a World Cup winner, and he's been both captain and vice-captain, of course, of the football club. Same for Reece James if he plays in midfield. But the bottom line is, I think Chelsea are starting to realise that the model isn't only about data, the model isn't only about value.
So Jordan Henderson, the name alone splits opinion faster than almost anyone in the Premier League right now. Some of you already have strong feelings before I've even said what's happening, and trust me, what's happening is worth the wait. Whispers coming out of West London suggest Chelsea's recruitment team have been quietly assessing available experienced midfielders, and Henderson's name has landed on that shortlist. Not as a headline superstar arrival, mind you, but as what several sources are calling a dressing room stabilizer. A player whose value isn't measured purely in numbers, but in what he does to a young squad when things get difficult in February. Now here's where it gets interesting. Chelsea's midfield this season has been a mixed bag, flashes of brilliance from the kids, but a real lack of a voice when games get scrappy. That's the gap people close to the club believe Henderson could fill. Think less, marquee signing, more, glue guy. The kind of move that doesn't trend for the right reasons on the day, but pays off in April and May. Contract-wise, nothing formal has been put on paper. But conversations, described to me as exploratory but genuine, have reportedly taken place between representatives. No medical booked, no fee agreed. This is very much a watch this space situation rather than a done deal. Now let's pivot, because this second name caught almost everyone off guard. Danny Welbeck. Yes, that Danny Welbeck, still banging in goals for Brighton, still doing the ugly, unselfish work that managers love and stat sheets undersell. According to reporting circulating this week, Chelsea's hierarchy have discussed a short-term move for the forward, framed less as a long-term project and more as an experienced squad option heading into a congested fixture list. What makes this one genuinely fascinating is the timing. Welbeck isn't chasing a farewell tour, he's still performing at a level plenty of Premier League strikers would envy. So if Chelsea are circling, it's not charity. It's utility. Someone who can drop deep, link play, hold the ball up, and take pressure off the front line without needing months to adapt to a new dressing room. Brighton, for their part, haven't been approached with any formal proposal as of this recording, at least not according to anyone willing to go on record. But agents talk, whispers move, and once one outlet plants a flag, others tend to follow within days. So why would Chelsea be looking at two players most people associate with a different era of English football? Simple, experience is currency right now. Chelsea's squad is arguably one of the youngest in the entire division. Talented, yes, but light on the kind of leadership that wins you a tight away game in November when nothing's going your way. Henderson brings a voice. Welbeck brings selfless graft up top. Neither move screams statement signing, but together, they'd tell you a lot about what the club's actually planning behind the scenes. It's not glamorous business. It's the kind of business clubs do when they're building for a title push rather than building for headlines. Now, credibility check, because that's what separates this channel from noise. Reports on the Henderson conversation have come primarily through outlets with strong Chelsea sourcing, though nothing has been confirmed by Tier 1 names with the usual, here we go, stamp of certainty. On the Welbeck front, it's been more scattered, regional reporters close to Brighton picking up on it before the story spread wider. Translation: treat both as developing, not confirmed. This is smoke, not fire, yet. But smoke's often worth watching, especially with a transfer window that tends to move fast once one domino falls.